skip the minutes that requires action. Mike, the treasurer's report.
Good morning. Starting with the balance sheet, we did have the BAC sales escrow released as their pilot and their agreements with the IDA expired and terminated. And Ted Gutterman assisted in getting the paperwork done to document that and to get it back on the tax rolls ultimately. So we have one less escrow account. We have cash in the checking and savings account of just over $20,000. Our assets and liabilities balance out, showing that we have total equity of 18.6 when you take the 20,000 plus or minus in the bank and reduce it by the open payables. This is a question that has us all concerned, obviously, and we'll bring it up and have a discussion either during the administrative report or during the item on the agenda to renew the CEDC contract.
Okay.
Are there any questions on the balance sheet? If not, jumping to the income statement, January through April, we had $4,000 in administrative fees. There's an annual administrative fee that relates to each of the open projects. In addition, we had $19,500 in expenses. And looking at the expenses, almost $9,000, well over $10,000 for insurance, legal fees, accounting, and audit fees, and then the $8,000 for CEDC's administrative fee.
Those are annual fees?
No, those are the fees from the audit, and the insurance and the accounting are annual fees.
Okay.
The CEDC fee is $2,000 a month. So you see that there's $8,000 or 4 months there.
Okay.
The pilot income comes in and goes out. Erin reallocates that based on the agreement of each pilot to the respective municipalities. Most of them, I believe, if not all, are on a percentage of which each taxing jurisdiction is to the total for the year. So again, if you look at our budget, the budget that's shown there is for the year, and it would show that we can catch up, but it does show the administrative fee income. It's 4 months of $50,000, and we have not had a IDA deal that has resulted in a fee. So what we're looking at, and I can again report this during the administrative report, a couple of possible IDA transactions coming up, but in the meantime, we have to look at how we are able to sustain the organization as we go forward. Are there any questions? Obviously, we're obligated by the ABO for the accounting and legal fees, and most of it is accounting. And we're obligated based on your board participation to be sure we have insurance. So,
right.
So
right. So the pilot payments, once coming in, they don't pay an administrative fee at all.
Those projects pay, I believe, earn an administrative fee up front at the beginning of each year.
Yeah, that's correct.
They all pay up front except for 290. He pays his in September.
Right.
How much is that they pay?
The annual administrative fee for each project is how much, Erin?
$1,500.
Sorry, we didn't hear you.
1,500.
1,500 each
Each?
project.
Okay.
So we have the WIC, we had BAC. Did they pay this year even though their project terminated?
Yes.
No. So, and then the as we get applications, we'll also get, we have an application fee, but we really need to close a transaction where the IDA receives 1% of the total project cost. So, okay. That concludes the treasurer's report. If there are no additional questions, Madam Chair.
All right.
Moving to the do we need to approve the treasurer's report? Yes, I believe so.
I don't think we have a quorum.
Okay, so we'll move to the administrative director's report. As I said, we continue to work with Clock Estates. Martha Lane and Lisa and I went to visit the site last month. It's incredible the amount of work that John Frischkoff and his team have accomplished there. We were able to work with them to get a 1-year extension from the Office of Community Renewal from New York State to enable them to get to the point where they can create the jobs that are necessary to sustain that grant. They were delayed in a number of areas due to the pandemic, as well as the contractor helping them save costs by moving some of the buildings from one area of the property to another, which needed to get additional town approvals. But they have planted incredible amount of trees and grapes and other fruits that will enable them to get started. And they do have their main barn up. They are going to they're working on the planning to construct the tasting room and the actual distillery. Mr. Frischkoff has been working with the IDA for a couple of years, as you know. It's a unique project in the sense that the state provides sales tax exemptions for manufacturers of craft beverages. In addition, a large part of the parcel will be benefit from state legislative ag exemptions. And they're financing with the farmers co-op bank, and therefore under New York law, you pay a fee to that bank, but you don't pay mortgage recording fees. Is that correct, Ted?
That's right. It's a farm credit, and it's a federal organization, and you have to join and pay a fee, but then it's exempt from the mortgage tax.
So what we're looking at is, traditionally you pay a 1% fee to the IDA to receive a pilot agreement on the entire parcel, a sales tax exemption for any sales tax that you would be obligated to pay, and the 1.25% mortgage tax on the size of your mortgage. We've asked John to go back and work with his accountants and his attorney to put together a matrix as to what those benefits would be without in one column, and then show us in the second column what benefits he's receiving from these other various non-IDA incentives, so that we can see what type of benefit he is getting from the IDA. And then, as we recalled when he first started this project, we did look at prorating his IDA fee, and I think we've agreed at this point to reduce it to $70,000. But I do think we need to see what level of benefit we're providing him, and I think he needs to see that to determine whether that benefit is worth a fee that we're proposing to him. So I do expect that by August, we'll either have something to bring back to you, or we would be in a situation where we would be able to have a special meeting if necessary. The other project that has come to light is a potential housing project in the town of Greenport. A developer is looking at a 150 unit workforce housing, which means that 130% of the median county income, or which would be about $90,000 or $100,000, would be the qualifier to live there. So about $90 to $100,000 of income or below. There'd be no state or federal incentives at this point, based on what I understand, and also we would be in a situation where we would be working with the town to develop a pilot agreement. And the developer has done similar projects around the capital region with other IDAs. So we do have some basis on which to work with them. It's a $15 to $20 million project, which would bring in $150,000 to $200,000 fee. We
Is that the
continue.
Healy Boulevard?
Yes, it's off Healy Boulevard. So,
I thought it was further along than this, but I guess.
well,
not.
they need to get planning board approval before they can get financing, before they come to us. But I have met with the supervisor in connection with this, and I think that there'll be some level of discussion between the developer, the IDA, and potentially the town. We also continue to monitor the solar arena. As you know, CEDC was asked by Chairman Morrell to oversee and represent the county in connection with pilot agreements for solar projects that are the result of the developer exercising their rights under 487 of the real property tax law, which provides that to the extent that the project is exempt under state law for 15 years, they have to ask the taxing jurisdictions if they would like to enter into a pilot. The taxing jurisdiction has 60 days to respond to that letter. And the county now, along with most of the towns and school districts, are opting to use that vehicle to be able to get some tax revenue from these projects. So far, we have only worked on projects under 5 megawatts or 5 megawatts or less. That's been between $3,000 and $3,500 a megawatt. And then the taxes, that pilot payment is then split between the 3 taxing jurisdictions. The developer continues to have to pay tax on the underlying real estate as if there was no exemption. And they also have to pay full tax on any special district assessment or levy, including the fire, water, sewer, lighting districts, library, et cetera. One of the issues has been that in the early days, some of the towns and in fact the county did not respond to these letters. There was some question at times where these letters were delivered, and therefore either one or more of the taxing jurisdictions received all of it, or all of them received nothing based on the state exemption. So we're trying to get some level of uniformity amongst the towns and school districts. Normally, as we discussed earlier, the pilot agreements get split on a pro rata basis, depending on the relationship of each jurisdiction's tax rate to the total tax rate. But in the case of most, if not all of the towns, the school district is anywhere from 50 to 70% of the tax rate. The county tax is higher than the town tax, and the town is the one that actually ends up with these projects, in the confines of their boundaries. So what's happened in most instances is the school district is allocated 50%, and the town and the county split 50% with 25% each. And that's kind of the model we've been using. There were some early projects where a town got 100%. There were early projects where school district got 70%, but we are trying to get to a point where, and we've done projects three or four in Claverack, one in Livingston. There's one in Kinderhook. There's one in Ghent. And we just received notice of a 20 megawatt project in the town of Stuyvesant, and then another 5 megawatt project that straddles the Stuyvesant Kinderhook town line. Again, the county has asked us to undertake this, and it does beg the question on the large solar project in Copake, Hecate, and we continue to work closely with the town. I think most of you are aware that the Board of Supervisors unanimously passed a resolution opposing the project as currently planned, and continues to, again, work with the supervisor under the home rule concept of county and town government. We have not received an application from Hecate or any indication that they plan to submit one. They did move their state permitting application from the Article 10 process to the recently enacted 93C process, which is a much more expedited review. And again, they continue to work with the town or talk with the town to attempt to downsize the project to a size that the town would find acceptable. If that ever happens, and I don't know that it will, I think there's still significant opposition to the project. We would expect that either they would utilize the option of having the taxing jurisdictions do the 60-day notice pilot, or they could possibly come to the IDA. But again, there's a lot to be resolved at the local level before we would entertain such a proposal. Are there any questions on any of my items in the administrative report? If not, Madam Chair, if I could ask Council Ted Gutterman to just update us on what happened with the BA sales.
Nina's joined us, so we
Hi,
have
Nina.
a quorum.
Okay, we can jump back in a second to deal with the minutes in the treasurer's report. But Ted, on BAC sales.
Right. Well, the 10 years of the pilot were up after the January payment, and basically we entered into a termination agreement of basically canceling the pilot or terminating the pilot and all of the lease agreements, and basically putting the property back on the tax roll. So BAC sales now will be assessed. They'll have an assessment as of July 2021, and I think that the first tax they'll pay is the school tax that comes due in September based on a new assessment. And we've refunded they put money in escrow to basically secure payment of their pilot payments, and we've refunded that to them because the agreement is now officially terminated.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any questions? If not, Madam Chair, if you would like to go back and approve the minutes and the treasurer's report with the quorum in place.
All right, welcome, Nina.
I'll make a motion.
Who's that?
It was Bill Gerlach, I believe.
Okay. So I can't see. Do we have a second?
Bob Galuccio, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nina, can you unmute?
I think I did.
I'm so
Can you hear me?
She's
Yes.
on twice.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Gotcha.
Okay.
Thanks.
We-
Are you getting your emails about these meetings?
I
Listen.
am, yes. I just had a technical issue this morning with my internet at the office, but I'm in now.
Okay, great, thanks. All right, so we did all in favor, that motion passed. And then the treasurer's report, which you missed, Nina, but you got the minutes on that. So
Yes.
do I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
All right, second? Somebody out there.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Okay, back to you, Mike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We discussed the item 5 on the agenda, the Clock Estate Distilleries. We were able to, as believe I mentioned, get a 1-year extension for them from the state for the $350,000 grant. They were very pleased with that. And the next item is the Commerce Park. As you know, the county sewer easement had been requested. We notified the ABO. The 90-day notice provision is about to expire, so we will follow through with the board's approval. That was granted several months ago to sign those documents, have Cappy sign those documents, and transfer the easement back to the county from the property that they had transferred to us. On the SAAD Sod Development Corp. Ted Gutterman and I have been going back and forth with James Sad. They were a development company that was out prospecting for a commercial business looking for warehouse space. We did have a proposal from them, and they paid a $5,000 initial inspection period fee. And had they terminated during that first 90 days, they would have gotten their fee back. Instead, they extended it by 1 month for a month by under the terms of the agreement for an additional $2,500. And both the developer and the IDA have read that agreement to provide that the termination after the initial period results in the IDA, them forfeiting to the IDA the full $7,500. We're going to hold that money on our books as due to the county until an ultimate sale. We do anticipate having, when we do have an ultimate sale, recouping the money that CEDC paid Kaiser to clear up the title here. But I think, Ted, perhaps you could explain, they've terminated the agreement, but they think that either they may be back or the commercial enterprise may be back, or we could market it to another.
Yeah, there's another developer that's got the bid for this project, and they did indicate that they would let the other developer know that this particular parcel is available. So, I think it's somewhat of a long shot, but it's a possibility. But I think that what we ought to do now that we've got the $7,500 is we ought to get the survey anyway, because we don't really have a good description of that property, because there was a chunk of it that came off in order to deal with an encroachment, and there's no good survey or legal description of that parcel at the moment. We previously agreed that we would go ahead and ask Dan Russell to do that for $2,500, and I think we should continue to ask Dan to do that survey and use basically the $7,500 that we got paid to get that survey, so we have a good legal description and a good survey of the property.
And Ted and I agree on that, and we would ask for board approval to use $2,500 of the $7,500 earnest money that was forfeited to pay for that.
Do we need a motion for that?
Yes.
Bob Galuccio, moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's passed. Is that the property has a little bit of wetlands on it? Is that part of the problem?
Yeah, it does, and that's a good point, and that's going to help market the property, because it's going to resolve any wetlands questions that a future developer may have, and there's enough of that parcel that isn't wetlands that would make it able to be developed.
Usable. Okay, thanks.
I believe I reported last month, but since we were talking about the Commerce Park, and I guess it was actually 2 months ago, Lim's Machinery at the end of the year paid off in full their loan, and we released their mortgage. And if you drive by, you can see their building going up. So you recall that we had given them an extension, and they followed through, and they were able to move forward.
That's that one
Um,
right on 66.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We also have the Hudson River Valley Holding LLC parcel. We had given them an extension and then we gave them a second extension due to COVID. They have until, I believe this time next year to begin construction. And, we're also looking at how we can market the parcels that have been sold that are being held by the people who paid off the penalty mortgage and own the properties. At one point, most of those properties were sold for about 40 grand and the penalty was 40 grand. So some of the developers had more into the property than they could get out of it. But with rising real estate prices, we think it's time to go knock on their doors and see if they're going to develop those sites or whether we can begin to help them market them to bring in more businesses, especially now with the new sewer line coming in there. We would like to see the value of those sites driven towards people who need water and sewer, not just domestic use for employees, but actual water and sewer for processing. So there's nothing else to report on the Commerce Park unless there are some questions.
Any questions?
The next item is the IDA CEDC contract. That's the annual agreement between CEDC and the IDA for administrative services. It has been a fixed fee of $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year for some period of time, for several years, if not more than several. The chairman has asked that we discuss this at the next meeting when he's available to attend. And also he's asked me to go back and discuss with the CEDC board how we might restructure that, recognizing that without another deal, we'll run out of funds to pay that fee this year. What we've done with Hudson IDA is we have entered into where we manage that as well. We do have a monthly fee for administrative support, which is about half of what our fee is currently fixed with the county IDA. But then we have a percentage of any fee that is collected. So it's kind of a base fee for the base administrative services and then a kicker for deals because of the extra work that's involved when a transaction gets to the level of being an IDA deal. I don't know where the CEDC board is on this, but Cappy brought this up to me on Friday. We discussed it again this morning, and I think we're both CEDC and the IDA want to be sure that we're able to sustain the operations because we have a couple of deals on the horizon. And but again, if you could think about that, and certainly we'll have more discussion after we speak with the CEDC board. Are there any input or questions with respect to your thoughts on how we might structure this or restructure it?
Well, are IDAs in general still holding fast? Because it seems like fewer and fewer people are using IDAs. We can't-
Certainly with the level of state exemptions and incentives to particular industries, it certainly has taken away some of the benefits that an IDA can deliver. Certainly with the legislative focus on continuing to restrict IDAs and increasing the level of oversight on IDAs. I do think we've seen where certain developers have shied away from using IDAs because, again, everything is part of the public record, and their business model, their financing model, and their entire project it becomes public record. you recall, the developer at the Commerce Park who was building the concrete architectural items, architectural cast stone, who
Right.
had left. They felt that they didn't want to be in a situation where, based on the pilot, people thought they were coming to town as a new business, and they felt that no matter how beneficial the project was, that they would be looked upon askew because they were getting a reduction in taxes. So, I think between, it's not as, and again, the other aspect of this is you really need to be doing, what would you say, Ted, a $10 million project and above to get the benefits from the IDA after the.
Yeah, well, yeah, that, unless the IDA basically makes it more accommodating in terms of the fee reduction. That's true, yeah.
So, I think it's a good tool in the toolbox. I think, we're not having a CRC meeting this month because there was no business. But again, I think you'd certainly keep an IDA. I think that we do have to continue to look at, the costs that CEDC is incurring by making grants back to keep CEDC alive. Is something that we're going to have to look at before the end of the year. And I do think that one of the aspects of our fee is that we are, using those funds to help sustain CRC, because IDAs can't make grants to entities or loan
Right.
money.
All right, thank you. Legal counsel, RFP.
Well, this is a difficult discussion, because certainly we are very grateful to Ted Gutterman for his service. He's been a tremendous asset to the IDA and to me personally over the years. But as you know, he brought to our attention at a previous meeting that he would like to begin to slow down and reduce his workload, and that one of the clients that he would like to find a successor is the IDA. Ted and I looked at several RFPs for IDA counsel from around the state, and he and I have crafted one that we would, before we release it and put it out on the street, where we would like the board, I don't think you need to approve it, but we certainly wanted you to be aware of it. And our plan would be certainly to make sure that all the lawyers in Columbia County are aware of it. But Ted, could you explain a little bit about how, in some cases, the larger regional upstate firms provide both the agency counsel representation and the bond representation?
Yeah, there's like, I don't do the bond stuff because just that, there are firms, particularly in the Albany area, that do that all the time, and they just, not that I don't know how to do it, but it's just much more efficient to have somebody that does it all the time do it. And that basically is in connection mainly with the financing and developing the pilot agreement. I guess that, so there's some firms in Albany that might offer some benefit, but I think that the other issue for the board to consider going forward, depending on what applications you get for my replacement, is you do want somebody that's going to be available all the time for Mike and for the board to answer questions and stuff. And to some extent, a local attorney might be a better option. I mean, that's basically up for the board to decide, depending on what applications you get. But I think there are some advantages for me being involved, and I think I'm probably more readily available to answer Mike's questions immediately, as opposed to maybe a bigger firm that I don't know. I'm I don't know what the experience would be with a bigger firm and whether they'd be as quick.
Well, certainly, Ted is right, and Ted can also attest to when I have questions, I need the answers quickly. So,
Yeah, I think that you'll see you'll put the application out and you'll see who's available, and I don't think it's necessarily the less expensive applicant that you hire. I think you hire the one that you think is going to work the best with the IDA, and I think that's the way the RFP is structured. It allows you to choose the one you want.
And do we split now with the bonds?
Well, we are now. That's the way we go. But that's an option. You can decide when you get your applications as to whether it makes sense to use the same firm for bonding and the IDA deals. But I don't think it's going to be any less expensive. They're going to charge the applicant for the bonding the same way the Albany attorneys charge now. We don't pay the bonding fee out of the IDA funds. The project company pays the bonding attorney's fee directly to the Albany firm.
Okay.
so I think we'll get this out later this week, and we'll give them a couple of weeks to respond, and then we can either call a special meeting or address this in August.
All right.
Sounds good. Yep.
And again, Ted, we certainly appreciate all of your efforts, and as I indicated earlier, I really benefited from your knowledge and experience and your quick responsiveness. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
On behalf of, the IDA, CEDC, and myself.
Yeah, much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. That's all I have before your public comment.
All right. Do we have anybody from the public on our call here, meeting call? Any public comments? Hearing none, a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Bob Galuccio.
And do I have a second?
I'll second Nina.
Nina, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Well, thank you all very much for your attendance today.
Okay,
I
very
guess
good.
We'll
Thank
see you
you.
in 2 months.
All right. Bye now.
Thank you all.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank you.